Merry Christmas, Glasgow Rangers Nation. Yes, even Christmas Day, we're still here. We're still working. We're still bringing you Rangers content. Hope you're having a great day with your families, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about the striker search, guys. Been sat reading through the news this morning. I went to see my kids this morning, and then they're off with my ex-wife to her families this Christmas. So I thought I'd read through some Rangers news, watch a few highlights, get a bit of information, and put a video together. Might as well. So we're going to talk about strikers. Now, I think we can all agree, can't we, that Rangers do need to go out and acquire some strikers in the January transfer window. Look, there is a plethora of names are linked currently with the club. And you know what? As we fast approach January, there is going to be even more names linked with the club as well. You know, there's constantly going to be names, pushed out there. Because that's Rangers. You know, it sells papers, it fills column inches, it gets people to click on things. Perhaps we're all guilty of that. Perhaps we all are guilty of that. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about a few targets that are out there and around that we've been linked with so far, including, Lawrence Shanklin. We are also going to talk a little bit about a possible solution that may be in the club for one of the striker places once he is back and fit in January. Obviously, feel free to disagree if you don't, as long as you do it in a constructive manner. Well, the latest name that has been linked again with a move to Glasgow Rangers is Kevin van Veen. Kevin van Veen, who is currently with Groningen in Holland, has basically been told that he can find the club and that he is free to leave in January. As weird as it sounds, Van Veen, who is Dutch, has struggled to settle in Holland at Groningen. His Scottish partner has just given birth to his child, and there does really seem a desire for Van Veen to come back to Scotland. Now, this is, very hard, I suppose, for a guy who's Dutch, but you know what? He clearly loves the country. He clearly loved his time here as well. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit through his stats, and then I'm going to talk about my opinion on whether or not this would be a good deal for Rangers. He is a good player, don't get me wrong. And, he's gone back to Holland and hasn't really, like I said, settled in, hasn't really fulfilled his potential. The manager of Groningen says, I talk to Kevin on the phone almost every day and there's interest because he is not playing. We will listen. If another club makes a concrete offer and the solution is good, we will cooperate with his departure. In principle, of course, he is welcome to return to the club when we return to training on January the 3rd also. So, it is quite clear the club are willing to let him go. They are willing to sell him. But like I said, there is positives and negatives to Van Veen, in my opinion. Now, obviously, he's not playing in the Eredivisie this season. He's playing in their championship. He's only made 50% of their starting 11s, scored 5 goals in 14 games, which on 53% of the minutes, still contributing a 16% goal participation rate. It's not bad. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad at all by Van Veen. And I think obviously a lot of it is down to the fact that he is not settled there. He is not valued there. He is not felt to be part of their plans there. If you look back across Kevin Van Veen's career, it's not really massively glowing, is it really, in terms of the clubs that he's been with? I mean, yes, he was a success in the Scottish game. That is one thing I suppose you can take from this, that Van goals in the SPL. He was successful in the SPL. So surely again that in a team where you would have a chance to create for you if you could finish it, which Van Veen, that's not easy to say, guys, clearly is a good finisher. He would score goals the same way I think Shanklin would score goals, the same way I think Miovski would score goals, etc. So let's have a look. I mean, he spent the majority of his career at Scunthorpe United in the English League One, where he's got 41 goals, 20 goal assists, so 61 goal contributions in 183 games. Accrued a total of 10,000 minutes. Decent, but it is English League One, which is not of the highest standard. Motherwell, he made 83 appearances for Motherwell, scoring 40 goals, just under 1 in 2, and 9 assists, so 49 goal contributions, 83 games, which is better than 1 in 2. Northampton Town, 10 goals in 38. Top Os, which sounds really bizarre, 16 goals in 21. Groningen, as we've seen, 5 in 15. SC Camber Leverden, 1 in 12. And JVC, which sounds like a telly, 4 in 10. Overall career stats, 369 appearances, 117 goals, 37 assists. So, he's clearly got a record, like I said, in Scotland of contributing, of scoring goals, of doing well in Scotland, and he knows the Scottish game. So there's the benefit there that if you sign Van Veen, you've got a player who can hit the ground running. Now, I have one major reservation about signing Kevin Van Veen, and it's quite a big one, really. he's 32 years old. He isn't going to get any younger. None of us are. And as he gets older, obviously things will decline. We all know that as you get older, you slow down a bit, you get more prone to injury, etc., etc. And if Rangers are genuinely sick, and I know I've talked about bringing in experienced players, but even experienced players, 26, 28, I think 28, 20 is perhaps the maximum, have still got perhaps 4 years ahead of them, the 28, 6 years ahead of them, the 26. Van Veen, to me, has a very limited shelf life back in football. And to me, it would be a bit of a waste of money. Yes, he may score goals. Yes, he may help us win the league. But in the long term, is that money down the pan? Is that money that could be better put to spend to buying someone else? Yes, he may be cheaper than Shanklin. Yes, he may be cheaper than Miovski. Yes, he may cost less in wages than Fabio Silva. Yes, he may, be cheaper to buy than some of the other targets we've been linked with. But my big concern over Van Veen is his age. I think that is the thing that would dissuade me from paying any money for him. Yes, if they were prepared to give us him for nothing, then fine. But as we've seen from the comment made by the manager of Groningen, that is not the case. The name that is obviously constantly linked with a move to Rangers, and it's in the media again, and is Lawrence Shanklin. I mean, Shanklin for me is someone who knows the Scottish game. He's 28. He's probably gone 3-4 years ahead of him. I think he could play. I think he could do a job for us. Again, I think he's Chris Boyd-esque. I think he would do very well in the SPL. I think he could fire us to the league title. I think he'd do well. He's got a 19.57% chance conversion rate, which is better than Kyogo, which is better than Dessers, which is better than Danilo. He is 28 years old, obviously, but if you look at him, wherever he goes, he has scored goals. At Hearts, he's got 43 goals in 71 appearances. Dundee United, 74 appearances, 40 goals. We're looking at both those clubs as being better than 1 and 2 in the Scottish Premier League. So again, proving himself that he can score goals in our league. Ayr, 63 goals and 74. Obviously, Ayer's a bit of a less one. Beershot was not the best for him, 28 in 5 in 28. Scotland, 7 Scotland caps, 2 Scotland goals for Lawrence Shanklin. And I think Shanklin is a very much an all-round player, which I think that Van Veen isn't, and even to some extent Miovski isn't. He links play well, he brings others into play, he's got a range of passing. So, Shanklin is a very promising target. The other name that obviously has been put out there is Fabio Silva. This would have to be a loan deal. Wolves paid 35 million for him. His wages are very high because of the fact that obviously he's with an English Premier League club. English Premier League clubs do pay astronomical wages due to the amount of money in the English game. You look at the English game, you look at the Sky money that's going in there. They can afford to pay vast sums of money. Fabio Silva, for me though, is a massive, massive risk. Even on loan is a huge risk. Realistically, there's two things to just kind of put with this. Okay, so first of all, his goal return is not great. Okay, so that's the first thing. I know he's still a young lad and he's still developing, but at Porto, he scored 3 goals in 21. Wolves, he's been there, played 73 games for Wolves. Remember, they paid 35 million for him and he's only scored 5 goals. So that's 7 million per goal. That's quite expensive. Anderlecht, he went there on loan, made 32 appearances, scoring 11 goals. Not brilliant, not terrible. And he went to PSV, where Niels Koppen is currently, scored 5 in 19, which again is not bad. Career-wise, 148 appearances, only 24 goals. He is a young lad. He is still developing. But do we really want a player that is not going to be able to hit the ground running, a player that is not going to be able to get in there and score goals for us straight away? Realistically, looking at January, we need players that can come in, hit the ground running and go from day one. I genuinely don't think Silva could do that. Now, obviously, he has played in the English Premier League, so he is used to a physical style of football, which is going for him. But the argument I'd kind of put to this is he any better in terms of promise, in terms of potential than Zack Lovelace? Zack is only 17 years old. I get that. And Zack is obviously, again, another one who is very unproven at this level. Zack, against St Mirren, the one appearance he has made for the first team, he looked very promising, playing out position as well, playing out wide. And until he got that injury where I think he was kind of trying a little bit too hard, he was probably the best player on the field. Zack, like I said, is 17. He's made 7 appearances, yet to register a first-team goal for Millwall or Rangers. So Shanklin, apparently, he's back on the grass. He is training now, but according to David McCallum, he will not be back eligible to play until mid-January. So is Zack Lovelace someone who could actually come in and factor in that striker room come the, as we run in towards the end of the season? Danilo is probably going to be out till April. Cyril Dessers has done better in recent weeks, but for me, he still isn't prolific enough to be our starting striker. He misses too many chances. He's offside. I mean, look, he did well yesterday in his link play and his holding up of the ball, and his work rate was very good. But then he goes and misses those chances where you've got that horrible air shot, which is, very schoolboy, the flick of his foot when he should be heading it or hitting it with his left, and the fact he can't stay on side. Yes, I think the second goal probably should have stood. Which certainly dispels the VAR conspiracy theory that everyone is expounding. You go back to even Sky Scotland yesterday, and you've got James McFadden and all the Celtic lovers all saying there's a VAR conspiracy, then the VAR is it's just ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. But Dessers has seemingly a less of an understanding of the offside rule than Ted Lasso and Fashion Sakala combined. So that is a worry. And yes, he has been playing better. So I'm not slagging him up. I'm just saying that he's not the answer. I think he is a good bench player, certainly. But you look beyond that. Sam Lammers, absolutely useless. Just wouldn't even play him in my local pub team. So Lovelace, I think, could be an option. In which case, if Lovelace comes back and he can hit the ground running, do we need someone like Fabio Silva? I don't think so. For me, Silva just fills me with the heebie-jeebies. He really does, because his goal record is not good enough. Veen, I would rule out because of his age. And Shanklin is a realistic option, but it's what Hearts are going to ask for him. Any more than 2-3 million, and they're taking the piss. They really are. If they're asking for 5, 6, 10, whatever, that's just a no-go. He's not worth that. His age goes against him. And I just don't think that is possible, for a player who's only going to be really, well, actually, no, it's unfair to say only useful in the SPL. We don't know how he perform in Europe on a proper good football team like Rangers. Well, I'm sure that Niels Koppen, that Philippe Clement, that Craig Robertson, and that all the football department are working hard on scouting strikers. And I'm sure there are names out there that that are. Mikel Biereth, who to me didn't look that impressive yesterday. I thought Leon Balogun absolutely owned the lad yesterday. I really did. There is other names out there. There is other names that are possible links. But it's very much, who are they scouting? Who are they looking at? And I think, like Philippe Clement says, until we actually come back with a few names and we actually come up with a proper signing, we're going to be playing the speculation game, aren't we? I mean, another possible name, someone to look at, and I know his father has links to that lot from across the city, but, Sidney van Hooijdonk was certainly someone at the start of the season who was being touted around by his agent as wanting a move, as he's not really settled in Bologna and has been sent everywhere on loan. Since he was been in Bologna, he's been on Herenveen on loan, where he scored 22 in 48. So, is someone like him going to be an option? That's someone, obviously, that Niels Koppen will have seen up close for PSV. Is there someone coming through the PSV system that Koppen could perhaps tempt to come with him? It is going to be a situation where we're going to have to keep our eyes open, our ears to the ground as regards names. It is interesting that Van Veen seems to have resurfaced. I think a lot of it is media speculation, paper talk, rumour, etc., to sell papers, and I said to get clickbait, because Rangers fans will click on that and do want to watch it. Shanklin, I think, is a name that seems to be gathering steam, but we still don't know what Philippe Clement truly thinks, and we're not going to until the actual end of the transfer window as to who Clement really wants, because he's going to play his cards close to his chest. He is ultra professional. He's not going to come out and say, yes, I want Lon Shanklin, or yes, I want Bojan Miovski, or yes, I want Kevin Van Veen, or yes, I want this guy or that name or this name. It's just not possible. But I think, we all do agree that at the end of the day, a striker is absolute must in this transfer window, and possibly two, with one being a loan signing. Although loan signings, like I said, Seamer's great, and I'd love to get Seamer on a permanent basis. But the one worrying thing worries me about loan players is you can't develop a long-term solution, a long-term team, if you're getting loan players in and then they've been sent back to their parent clubs. It's interesting, the names linked, like I said so far. We'll obviously try and keep on top of it. We'll look at any speculation, any rumours. And there's been hundreds of other names, and there will continue to be hundreds of other names. We will be linked with every man, his dog, the dogs, cats, hamsters, cousins, chicken, and everything like that. That's just the way it is, because we're Glasgow Rangers, one of the biggest clubs in world football, despite what some idiots say on social media. Look, at the end of the day, and I had a Coventry fan going at me, a Coventry City fan going at me the other day. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is a club with an average attendance of 19,500 in a city that's one of the top 20 biggest cities in England. Absolutely ridiculous. A team that can't even fill its own stadium. Ridiculous. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. And as always, on the way out, 2 things for me. Number 1, smash the like. And number 2, never forget, always remember, we are the people.